Welcome to Season 5 of How I Made It Through, and thank you for joining us. I have invited Ray Catania, author, metaphysical teacher, and coach, to join me as my co-host as we aim to engage, challenge, inspire, and teach you, our listeners, what it really means to be a spiritual being having a human experience. We'll explore not just concepts, but attempt to unravel the neuroscience of metaphysics, as well as practices designed to expand consciousness, increase healing, and develop a profound connection to love. We'll explore God, death, the afterlife, and pushing past limitations as we encourage you to break free of the trance of fear so that you may experience greater freedom, peace, and connection to yourselves, each other, and spirit. Today's guest is Nick Musica, who had his first psychic and psychedelic experiences in his early 20s, though it took nearly 25 years for those kinds of experiences to resurface again. In fact, much of his adult life was what most people would consider normal. That changed when he started exploring spiritual consciousness with plant medicine and a spiritual teacher. A connection opened that continued to grow and evolve. He went to a psychic medium who told him he would communicate with animals and that it would be easy. After a few false starts, it turned out that she was right. Nick now communicates with other people's animals and helps people develop their own intuitive gifts. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kristin. Howdy, Ray.
Welcome, Nick.
Long time no see.
Thanks for being with us. Really excited about having you.
Thanks.
So we got to understand that your bio tells us how it came into being, but you're this normal guy. Growing up, did you feel sort of a kinship or connection beyond what most of us feel with animals, or what was the story before that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I always had an appreciation for them. And the more that I work with folks, the more that I can see that, I mean, sometimes there's events that sort of open things up for folks. And sometimes there's some amount of connection or appreciation of the thing that shows up that starts to become the opening, right? Other things may show up, but there's an appreciation for it. And for me, it was animals. I would say it started when I was about 20. But there was, at that time, there was really no one to talk to about this type of thing. Like, it was just weird, right? And it was weird for me for about 25 years. And the weird part for me was, and I just learned the phrase a few months ago, 9 months ago, whatever it was, clairvoyant dreams, right? It's about, having a dream about I'll just make up the scenario, about a strange dog on a strange corner in a strange city. You've never seen the dog, you've never seen the corner, you've never been to the city. And then a day, a week, a month, whenever it is later, you're driving by and you see that dog on that corner in that city, right? Like, and it was nothing material. Like, it was just like, oh shit, that's weird, right? But that would start to happen. And the first time that happened was I was in college, and this kid comes through the right-hand door, and he wasn't supposed to be at this college. I went to high school with this kid, grammar school and high school, and he was not supposed to be at the college that I was. I knew where he was supposed to be. And so when I had this dream, I thought, this doesn't make any sense. He doesn't go to the school, right? And in my dream, he came from the left in this hallway, but in reality, he came from the right. And I'm just staring at him. He says hello, and he's trying to have a normal conversation with me. And I really don't remember what I said, but I know how I felt, and it was very unsettling. And I just got out of there. And that type of thing has repeated itself multiple times. There was no one to talk to. Until I think it was 2017 that I said, I want to try to figure out this dream thing. Like, what's going on? And San Pedro showed up, and a spiritual teacher showed up. And I went to the gentleman, and I talked to him, the spiritual teacher. And I said, here's what I'm trying to figure out. I've talked to folks, they said lucid dreams. And I said, no, like, doesn't fit the definition. And deja vu, no, that's not it either. It fundamentally does not fit what my experience is. And his reaction was, well, I think there's something tapping you on the shoulder. And I thought, oh man, that's such a, it's not a very satisfying answer. Right? It's not.
Yeah.
But what happened was it put me down a path, because it wasn't a hard no, right? It was like, oh, there's the entry point, and now go figure it out.
Just enough to keep you going, keep you wanting. Give me a little more. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And so he introduced me to meditation and energy. I knew nothing of it. They were there, and I still call them rocks, but like, gems and all that fun stuff. Like, I like going to the stores. They're fun to go into, but pick up this rock and feel a certain way. No, I'm not going to do that. Like, it just wasn't part of who I was. Um, but things changed quite a bit, and rather quickly.
T- How did that happen? Tell us.
Yeah, I think so the meditation started. So started to feel energy, and I started to just question reality. Really, like, and there's not a lot, Ray, you have it in your book, of like, there's a period of time where you think you're sort of losing your shit, right?
You bet.
But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the first time I ever heard anyone say anything like that, right? So I'm reading your book and I'm like, yes, yes. Oh, that can't relate to that, but there's a bunch of things in there that I'm going, thank goodness someone else, it made me feel normal. It made me feel
Sure.
like this happens. There's got to be at least a third person out there this happened to, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's two people I'm counting at this point.
There are
Um,
millions, but you feel like there's only a
right.
handful.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. And so it's probably 9 months. Like, I'm a slow learner, right? It took me 25 years to get to me where I am. It took me 9 months to go, is this thing real? Is this not real? And I sat myself down for a talk. It was a very quick talk, and the conversation was, it's either real and go in that direction, or it's not, and just shut up about it. It's one of the two. And it was just, the experiences were undeniable, not relatable to a lot of people, but undeniable for myself. So I said yes, and once you say yes to it, you sort of have to be ready to say yes.
The gates open and it's like, here we go. It's on.
Yeah,
It's like the spigot. They just
yeah,
turned
yeah.
on. Tell us about your cat, because how did
Oh, sure.
how did your cat come to you?
Yeah. So the latest iteration. So we'll jump right to the cat part, the animal part, right? So my wife and I, we had plans to go play pickleball, right? So, and this fits into there's no coincidences. Everything is set up as it should be, right?
Mhm.
So we were supposed to go play pickleball. It gets canceled, and we remember, we completely forgot that there's a psychic fair here in Carlsbad where we live, and we're like, oh, let's go to the psychic fair. That'll be fun. And we take a loop around, don't see anyone, and then we approach it from the opposite direction. And right in front of us, there's this psychic medium. And you know, I'm very skeptical by nature, as you may have picked up. 25 years to get to this point, 9 months for that, right? So I'm just skeptical, and like, mediums are just not part of my belief system. It's
Yeah.
just I've been to psychics, but mediums, like, like, just not for me.
Yeah.
But I see Adelita. Her name is Medium Adelita, and I said, hey, Jewel, my wife, what do you think about her? And Julieta says, that sounds great. Why don't you go first? So I sat down,
They always
and
send us first, don't they?
yeah, you're right. Sounds awesome. Like, you
I had to
tried
go
it first.
first.
Right. Uh, and so I sit down, and she starts by drawing this heart. And she says, it's either a former romantic relationship or it's an animal. And I don't know what I said, but I was sort of catching up, right? Because I sort of forgot I'm sitting down with a medium. And she responds to my whatever nonsensical response with, it's an animal. She circles it. Now I'm catching up. Oh shit, I'm sitting with a medium. Okay, an animal. What's going on here? And the next thing out of her mouth is, you did too much. Oh, it's emotional to relive it. So like, I'm bawling in the first 30, 60 seconds. My wife is like 8 feet over here to the left. And I look at her and she's like, what's going on? I said, I don't know. I just mouth, I don't know, because I can't really function. And I just point at the tissues. So if you ever go to a psychic fair, go to the people who have the tissues. Those are the real deal, as far as I can tell.
That's the barometer.
Right.
That's
So
good.
I point to the tissues, and she gives me a couple tissues. And now I'm reliving the past couple of years of my life with Henry. He was 22 when he passed, and the last 2 years of his life was going back and forth to the vet, like questioning the food, getting all the tests. We got a multiple hydration shot into him. He's walking around like Quasimodo, because we're treating the symptoms of old age, right, of the
Yeah.
cat, and really treating the symptoms of the human who doesn't want to lose the cat. Right. And in
Right.
hindsight, it's way
That's right.
cleaner to see that, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm reliving those past 2 years. And so the summary statement of, you did too much was just spot on, right?
Mhm.
So
Mm.
now I'm in it. Now I'm going, oh, okay, I'm talking to my dead cat through this woman. Now I'm here, and I'm absorbing what's happening.
Yeah.
And then she continued and she said, they're now showing me Dr. Doolittle. They're showing me that you can talk to animals and it's going to be easy for you. And I thought, oh shit, I've never heard anything more true in my life. That just landed
Mm.
without any doubt. As questionable as some other people may think of that statement, if they were to hear it applied to themselves, I thought, yeah, that's it. That's totally it. Yeah.
Mm.
So I go home and I'm doing my meditation that I've been doing since 2017, off and on. And I tune into my cat Chucky, and like I feel the connection, and I see this bright white light. And it's the type you would associate with like angels or spirit guides, something like a higher level being. And I think, absolutely not. My cat shits in a box. He shits on the floor. This is not.
That was
This is
the best.
right. Like it's not a higher level being. Like I don't know what's going on here, but that's
Mm.
not what's happening, right? And so I call up Adelie and I say, it's not working. Never mind being easy. It's not working. And her response is, well, you're expecting things to show up in very specific ways, and that is not how this works. Just
Yeah.
be open to whatever information you get and then have at it, right? That's it. Okay. So I decided to give it a second shot. And I buy books to try to figure out what this whole thing looks like. You'd be amazed at how many animal communication books there are out there. My library is completely changed. And I get a couple sessions with animal communicators, folks who actually do this, to try to understand what it even looks like. And as I'm standing up from my dining room table over here to my left to come to this computer for a Zoom meeting, I get this quick flash of Return of the Jedi. I see the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan and Yoda. And I know what I'm being shown. I'm being shown a student-teacher relationship. I know that's
Mm.
coming from Chucky, and I know that I'm not the teacher. I know that I'm the student.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, and so
Wow.
that bright light, that was Chuckadoo. Okay.
Mm.
So I sit down with the animal communicator and she validates, your name and you're here to talk about. And then she, and then there's this switch that happens. Like, it's like we get out of that human aspect of like same time, like we're here to talk about, oh, like now the channel comes through. Do you know who he is to you? I do. Like, you just showed it to me a moment ago. Right. And then we spent the next 15 to 30 minutes, whatever it was, talking about him.
Well, what did he have to say given the relationship? What did he need you to know?
Yeah, well, he's shown up in multiple ways. There was one instance where he showed up. So I'm having this conversation with my wife, and it's a crunchy conversation. It's an emotional conversation. She's she's telling me something that she wants to do, and I'm disagreeing. And but on the inside, I'm thinking, how do I make this work? I'm intentionally not giving all the details around this one. It's a little sensitive,
Sure.
but I'm intention and but like I'm saying, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to do this. I just can't. I'm not in a place to do this thing that you're requesting of me. I can't do it. And but I'm trying to figure out how best to support my wife in this situation, right?
Mm.
But I don't say any of that. I keep on saying no, but on the inside I'm going, how do I figure it out? Where's that point where I can compromise myself and my wife to get this outcome that's not going to be good for us? That was really the reality.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the conversation breaks. I take out my guitar and just start tooling away on it. And my wife goes downstairs, and I'm upstairs with the guitar case open, and Chucky comes walking into the guitar case, which is not abnormal. However, he started to scratch in the guitar case. And I said, "What are you doing? Like, come on, use the litter box in the bathroom. That's what is happening." He's never done this before. He gets out of the out of the guitar case, and he makes a left around the corner. I lose line of sight of him. Great, he's in the in the litter box. So I go back to the guitar. About 5 minutes later, my wife says from downstairs, "There's shit on the bed," and I was like, "Oh, whose side is it on, Joel? It's on your side."
Can I ask
Uh-huh.
a really I feel like I'm not tracking totally.
Yeah.
Is Chucky alive or a
He's a
spirit, or
he's a
he's
living
alive at
critter.
this point? Okay.
He's
He's a
he's
living
he's he's a
and he's
living
okay,
cat.
he
Yeah,
still
yeah.
is right now.
The one that showed up was
Or
Henry.
okay, and obviously the shit is indication that he is alive, but this whole time I was thinking he's a
Yes.
spirit, and then I was like,
Yeah.
another cat shit." Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
he's alive. He's a fully alive, fully pooping cat. Yeah.
So I want to hear more about animals, but you said something a
Yeah.
while ago that caught and piqued my interest. This kid that you went to school with
Mm,
shows
mhm,
up in your dream.
mhm.
What is that going? Help round out that story. Is there
Um,
something there?
there was no, it was all like it's all just random. It's
It was
all
random.
it was all random, right? And it sort of feels like this. It feels like watching, at least for me, watching like an old episode of Three's Company. Like
Mm.
you're familiar with it, but it's a little vague, and you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Jack Tripper's gonna come out and say something funny, and then someone's gonna insult him.
You know
Sort
the
of what's gonna
formula.
happen. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're like, oh, right. He said he was gonna say something about pretzels. Oh, there it is. Right. Yeah, yeah. Like, and you're like, oh, and now it makes sense. That's sort of how it shows up. And you're like,
Okay.
what's going on right now? Or it's so quick, you're like, oh, there it is. Okay. And you just
Okay.
live through it.
Okay.
And as I got more comfortable, I mean, that's no longer weird, right? Like I talk to animals now, like that's adorable compared to today's normal,
Oh
right?
my god, you were so funny. Okay. So let's get back to the animals.
Yeah.
Are there certain things that they're telling you? And in terms of your clairs, do you hear their voice or is it just
Yeah.
a knowing?
Yeah, yeah. So, when the meditation started in 2017, things started to show up slowly for me. Like I started to hear things and see things and feel things with the energy. A lot of the times with the animals, I hear them, and sometimes it's like some version of my voice that I hear, like it's sort of nondescript,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and sometimes it's when it's the personality that's coming through, like it's hilarious. Like there was one, I think it was a dog that showed up, and it sounded like just like a gruff guy from Boston, like took no shit, like was just sort of like we're gonna like we gotta have this conversation type of thing, right?
I
And
love it.
it was
You had
super
Whitey
funny.
Bulger, the Whitey Bulger dog.
Yeah,
What'd he say?
yeah.
Well,
So
like
so this was before he even told me about what was going on with this young lady, the human. I have a neighbor who has very noisy dogs, and so the dogs are whiny, complaining, like barking, like just always noisy, right? And I'm talking to this Boston dog, the dog that sounds like he's a Boston guy, and out of nowhere, it was so hilarious. He goes, "Tell them to shut up." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I kid you not, for the next 5 minutes, quiet, silence
Wow.
from them.
oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
that is hilarious. And when I get online with a human, like, and I explained to her, sometimes it's my voice and sometimes it's very sort of stylized with their personality. And here's what your dog sounded like. Boston, huh? Yeah. Why? What does that mean to you? Well, I used to live in Boston for a period of time. Okay. Well, they're always trying to give you something that lands,
There you
right?
go.
And
Yeah.
so, like,
Yeah.
you know what Boston sounds like, you know how it feels, what to you personally. So great. Like this is who your dog is, right?
Mm.
Um, there
Can
there was
identify 'em.
another. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, like it sort of just makes the information a little bit easier to come through when you can hear it with that accent, with that force behind it. Sometimes, and Chihuahuas are very, from my experience anyway, are very expressive, shall we say?
Did
Like
did you say chihuahuas?
Chihuahuas, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what you see in this little dog is what I hear when they express themselves. They're just very like, you got to hear this, you got to hear this now. And I tune in. There's a woman showed up and she wanted me to talk to her chihuahua because it's been biting people for years. Okay, well I mean, maybe years ago we should have talked to someone, but regardless, um, and I tune into the little chihuahua, and the dog says, "You have to talk to her about her job. Ask her about her job." Well, why am I talking to her about her job? That's what has to change. So I get on the line, and the woman said, "So did you talk to my dog?" I did. Can you get him to stop biting? I don't know. That's not the conversation we had. Well, what did you guys talk about?
Oh, this is
Uh,
Your job.
great.
yeah, yeah. Your dog wanted me to ask you what you do for a living. Well, I'm out of work. Well, that's not entirely true. Like, what do you do? I'm a private driver. Ubers, limousines, yeah, something like that. But my doctor says I shouldn't do that. Well, why not? I have spinal issues, and an hour or
Mm.
two sitting in the chair, my back gets very aggravated. Oh, okay. Well, your dog said your job is what has to change.
Mm.
All right. So we talked about why that job wasn't a good fit. And now the context is, well, my dog's been biting people for 8 years. Well, we don't have the time to go into all your jobs from the past 8 years, but would you say any of them were satisfying, or do they all leave you feel a little irritated and a little, like, not happy with things? Because your dog is a reflection of your feelings. That's what's happening right now.
Wow.
And so, right, like,
Can't make this stuff up.
Like, how do you get the dog to stop biting people? Maybe there's a behaviorist someplace who can help you with your dog. That is not my job. I'm not a vet. I'm not a behaviorist. But I would encourage you to go find something that you spend your day-to-day on that's going to make you happier. And so your dog can start to reflect that behavior and those feelings versus the other.
I want like 12 hours with you. This is so interesting to me. I often ask people who are psychics and mediums if they can turn it on and off, and about 99% say they can turn it on and off. So I want to ask you that. And it's like, if you go to a dog park, are you getting all these like, just like they're talking and saying stuff? Or
if I go to a pizza park, are they?
It's kind of the same thing. I know. I just think sometimes I like dogs and cats even more than people. So there's something really captivating about this.
Yeah, so it's a yes and. So like the zoo is a very different experience now.
Yeah.
It's a very different experience.
Right.
We should go to the zoo.
Can we all go to the zoo?
We are definitely grabbing Nick and taking him to the zoo without a
That
doubt. I want to talk to everybody.
Yeah, so I don't get a lot of information there, but I do get a sense of there's beings there that like we recognize each other in a way that like normal people don't. I don't know how to express it. I mean, it's I would imagine, Ray, it's sort of like when you sit down with someone and they're like, and you're like, oh, I feel your father here, right? And it's like, well, I'm about to go down the stairs and I can feel the animals before I can see them, type of thing, right? And I'm not. I think this is true, but I need more experience around it. But I'm pretty sure, like, I just get really basic information from them. Like I hear their thoughts, like I'm eating, or you're out there and we're in here, like just like really basic type of information, which was like, is this my imagination? Like and like, again, I'm terribly skeptical. When I get on the line with someone, like they show up and like tell me, and I'm like, oh, I'm the skeptical one here. Oh, this is hilarious, right? And so I'm just naturally skeptical, but I'm pretty sure what I hear is just really basic information. I heard it. I hear it at the zoo. I heard it in Costa Rica. And that's generally how it shows up for me in those type of environments.
Wow.
Did you have a dolphin story?
I did.
You did. So do I. I want to hear yours though.
Yeah. So
Dolphins are amazing.
They're fantastic. Yeah, they're fantastic. So we were in Mexico maybe last July, and we were like kids in a candy store in Cabo. We haven't gone anywhere in 3 years, right? Because of the pandemic. And so we finally get on the airplane and we go to Cabo, and we're just signing up for all the touristy things, everything. And one of the things we did, and I don't like animals in cages, so I had a little bit of a decision point around it of going to go swim with dolphins.
Okay.
And at the end of it, we said we're going to go. So very similar to SeaWorld, there's this little ledge. It's out of the deep water, and then there's this little ledge, like 2, 3, 4 inches, something like that. And the dolphin comes up on there, and at the head of the dolphin, there's the trainer, and the trainer said, 6 people, 3 on each side, and I'm at the right hand side of Liz the dolphin, at the back, and I thought, let me see, like let's see if there's something here, and so I can feel the connection. And then I got this like overwhelming feeling of sad.
God.
And my narrative kicks in, because you live in a
That's
pool,
where I
not
just went.
right, not in an open ocean. Like, of course, right? That would make any dolphin sad, but that's my
Right.
narrative, right? And that's part of the thing, right? That's not being the channel, that's being your own narrative, and now applying your meaning to things, right?
Mhm.
And that's not part of the deal. It's not what we do. We're interpreters, right?
Right.
And so I asked the question, why? And all I got back was family, and then the connection disappeared. So afterwards, I said to my wife, Juliet, I said, I need to validate some information. Can you give me a second? So I went to the trainers. So I'd love to know more about Liz. We had such a great time. Mom, dad, siblings, like what's going on? Well, dad's not here anymore. Dad's off the planet. Okay, that doesn't feel like that's what it is. What about mom or siblings? Oh yeah, mom and her sister are here. Oh, well, where are they? They're in the other tank. What do you mean the other tank? Well, mom had a second baby, and Liz still wanted attention, and she was causing problems for mom. So we had to separate Liz from the new baby and mom. And so we put
Mm,
the new baby and mom into the other tank. Oh,
yeah.
when'd you do
There
that?
it is.
3 years ago.
No.
How old is Liz? 5. So at the age of
Oh,
2, you took mom and the new sibling and put them next door where she hasn't seen them,
I'm just
right?
want to
Mm.
cry.
Right. This
Yeah.
explains that.
Yeah.
Hasn't seen them, and they're literally like a concrete wall away from each other,
Oh.
right? So 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 that happened, right? And so here's the other thing. It was very frustrating for me, and I'm waking up at like 5 o'clock in the morning with the sun. And one morning I thought, well, let me see if I can reconnect. And it seems like it's easier for me it's easy to reconnect with critters once there's that initial connection. Um, and so I try to find Liz, and I find her, and the quick conversation I had with her was, I mean, we all have a story. We can all, hunker down into it, and that's what it is. There's something sad for all of us. We can all hunker down into it.
Sure.
It's really
Yeah.
easy to do that. But you have a real opportunity here to be the ambassador between animals and humans, and have this connection, right? And that could be your purpose. And as soon as I thought the word purpose, the best way for me to describe it is like a reverse waterfall of energy that just shot up. And I
Mhm.
thought, oh, that's what a dolphin feels like. I've heard about what dolphin energy feels like. That's what it is. Now I get it. Now I'm understanding it. Right. Because it sort of felt like a parlor trick. Like, I know information. You want to hear it? Like, that's
Mm.
how it felt for me.
Yeah, I've heard that so much. Like I can show up and entertain people like a little court
Yeah.
jester.
And like who cares? Like who like it doesn't I might as well go juggle. I like juggling too, right? Like if it's gonna make me laugh, right? Like who cares? It doesn't matter.
I
Um
care. I want to know what Liz is thinking and feeling.
Right. And so you can change people's lives, you can change animals' lives. Like there's a whole bunch of it was a lot of learning for me. It still is.
Are you
But
are you writing are you writing a book?
I'm taking rough notes.
Okay. So that's a
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, because you have been gifted or you came in this lifetime with this unique ability. And this might be too auspicious of a question, but are there particular messages they want us to know?
There are very specific lessons for very specific people.
That's a
Right.
good
So,
answer.
so the question is always, what's the lesson for this person?
Well, what I've read, tell me whether you agree or disagree,
Yeah.
is that animals, I don't care if it's, a reptile or a bird or a horse, they are not angels, but they are from the angelic realm and they're here to teach us. And they're very advanced souls.
I agree with that statement. And here's how I think about it is, um, before we come here, we agree to the syllabus, we agree to the lessons that we're going to be presented with. The quicker we can move through one lesson, the quicker we can get to the other lesson.
Mm.
And we don't come here without support. We may not know all of it when we come here, but we don't come here without support. So call it whatever you want, right? I mean, there's if you're Catholic, angels, if right, whatever, choose it. But I believe animals are part of that, and I do believe they're higher level beings based on my
Yeah.
experience, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and and like, I mean, one, that's my experience, and two, have you watched the news?
No fucking kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be like we can't be just because
There's
we have.
gotta be something better.
Oh my goodness, right?
We're
Like
really struggling.
we have thumbs and credit cards. Please don't call us the highest level beings on the planet, right? We don't need to do
Oh my
that.
god.
We don't need
This
to.
is
Mm.
great.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, okay. So they come here and there's a way, with these syllabi.
Yep.
We are connected in the way that you just
Mm.
knew Chucky was your guy, right? And so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
is that true of everyone or is there just sometimes a random like, I don't know, this dog or cat is in my life, but it's not a strong connection, or is it always predestined, so to speak?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer to that. I can only say based on my experience when someone shows up with the intention. Here's the thing that I need personally. With the intention of connecting, then I can connect. If they show up more curious about what is this thing that you do, and they say they want me to connect to their animal, it's like it's like trying to start a car and it just doesn't turn over, right?
Yeah, it's not coming from a genuine place, and
Mm-mm.
it's yeah,
You can try as
that's
much as you want, but if the intention is not there, then
Mhm.
like it's
Or
just better.
the intention and the belief, they have to come together, and there's got that's what we pick up on, right? Because
Yeah,
that's what's flowing around us, that's what's circling around us, and if it's
yeah,
not, if you have someone that, like you said earlier, just is looking for a parlor trick, then you're not gonna you're gonna get nothing, and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
just how that works.
And then on my side, it's like, people my process is give me the information, give me the pictures of the animal, and then I'll chat with them like on a Thursday, and then we'll connect on Friday. So first the animals and then the humans. That's how I work.
That's what I
Um,
wanted to know.
yeah,
So, like, and I won't put you on, and I joked with Ray, like, it's so hard with me sometimes. I'm like, I've got this extraordinary person who's got this extraordinary gifts. I want to be like, okay, do it now, not in a parlor trick kind of way, but like, there's just so much. So, trust me, I'm not going there with you. I'm not going to ask you. But that is how it works: is you see the animal, and then it's over Zoom, and
yep,
it's a few days later, and so you've had an
yep.
opportunity to foster that connection with
That's
them.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
And so it used to be I could sort of uh get everything sort of organized, like on a Wednesday, and then Thursday I would tune in, and Friday I would have the conversation, something like that. And then
Mhm.
recently, it's as soon as I ask for folks to give me information through Google Docs, a form, so it just drops it into a spreadsheet, and then
Mhm.
I ask them to upload images into Dropbox.
Mhm.
Because those two Google Docs is great, but you need a Google account in order to actually upload images, and a lot of people have Hotmail or whatever it is. Not everyone has Gmail. So I would count on a lot of people if I asked them just to use Google Sheets. So I asked them to put it into Dropbox. And what's shown up recently is like as soon as I go to Dropbox to grab the images and dump them in a folder, the connection starts to open, and I have to like stop what I'm doing
Mm,
because it's or I can postpone it, but it's sort of like I sort of have to ride the bike back up the hill to get to the
yeah,
spot,
Mm.
yeah.
right? Where it's like we're ready to
Yeah,
go.
don't say no. Yeah, yeah. Spirit's
Yeah,
ready. You got to be ready. I mean,
that's
it's
right.
not.
Yeah,
They're not going to wait for you, so you got to
True.
jump on it. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
It's just
right.
so that tells me they're really eager for their people to know what they are
Totally.
trying to communicate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's go time as soon as that happens. Yeah.
So, do you have any more stories or themes of what they want us to know?
Yeah, I mean the themes are really a lot of the time there's mirroring or modeling behavior. So like the young lady with the chihuahua that was biting people in the ankles was a mirroring behavior. I'm irritated, I'm angry, whatever that negative emotion is.
Mm,
Chucky for me, every night like clockwork, he will ask me to play. Every night, right? Because I have
Mhm.
a bad relationship with the computer, so I'll sit there and I'll grind away at the computer, and he's
yeah,
like,
I do too.
it's time to
we
play."
have to touch on that. Nick has the most analytical mind, right, to begin with. So to take somebody like him and have this open, very much like myself. Everything was analytical, structured, lists were made, and Nick's in tech, so everything's zeros and ones, and then all of a sudden there you have this gray area, and you're like, what the hell is that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I mean, I've been doing SEO since 2003. I run an agency. I run my own agency. And so like
Sweet.
it's either it has to make sense because reasons, or there's a working philosophy because it's an algorithm, right? And I don't have all the code to the algorithm. No one does. So you're like, if this, then that type of thing, right? Like it
Mhm.
has to make sense in a way. And this is way over here.
And there lies our lesson, right? Don't be so
Mm,
analytical.
that's
Wow.
100%.
Okay, so Chucky wants to play every night.
Yeah, so every night he wants to play, and because my relationship with the computer is to grind more than I should and not afford myself the opportunity for play. So the lesson is play.
Mhm.
So
Why does
that
my dog love eating toilet paper? Just kidding.
Because you have flavored toilet paper, of course. You have cotton candy
that's a
toilet
really
paper.
good question.
If it's that good, I'll have some.
Loves it. Oh, it's a thing.
Yeah, don't have a good answer for you that for that one. Yeah, yeah,
How
And
yeah.
it's
how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I started to I got a new domain. It used to be nickmusica.com. That still forwards, But mycatsschooledme.com is the name of the website, and social media handles, that's the one. So folks can find me there. I mean, if someone shows up and they're like, I want to talk to my cat, I will help you with that. My personal philosophy is things show up in so many different ways. If we can open up the channel, stabilize in the channel, and get a few foundations down, fundamental practices down, how do you meditate? How do you create a space for yourself? What does that look like? What are the items that create a discipline so that you say yes, right? It's really about saying yes and then fostering that yes.
I love that.
Things start to open up in ways that, I mean, I never thought I would talk to a dolphin, right? Are you kidding me? No.
Of course not.
No. So be open, and then magical things happen.
Well, what's so interesting is with the one about furniture, it sounds so like a Dr. Seuss little book for kids, like Talk to Furniture, right? But everything holds energy,
Right.
Yes, that's
and
right.
just recognizing the sort of quantum mechanics of what's taking
Totally.
place.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with a life force is what I was told. And as soon as I was told that, I thought, oh, well, that explains a few things.
And we're almost recognizing that everything had or has a life force. It's almost impossible to find something that doesn't. And Eckhart Tolle just explained something like that the other day. I was listening to one of his lectures, and he was talking about that, how since everything is coming from one source, at some point or currently, it is a little bit conscious. It has to be. And if you look at it from that perspective, everything has a little bit of consciousness, and we all come from the same consciousness, the same source. It has to be a little bit alive.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I could just like keep drilling you with questions, and I want to know what all the animals are thinking and feeling and saying and wanting us to know. But is there anything we haven't yet asked that either Chucky or you or any other animal is like, heads up, you didn't say this?
Here's what I would say is this is available for everyone. Whatever this is, there's a definition for all of us, and it keeps on evolving. But if you want to open up to animals, great. If you open up to furniture, great. And people who have passed, things that have passed, whatever it is, I mean, there's something that is special to you, something that you're attracted to, and sometimes it's a fine balance of, I really want to do this thing, right? Like, can it just work this way? I mean, sometimes not, right? Because that's just that's something that's you're tightening the channel, you're not opening the channel. And so the challenge is there is just to relax and just let things flow through. And if you can do that, this is available for everyone. And the basic question I ask folks when they're when they're sitting there and they're like, like, I don't know, is who has had the experience of you were about to call or text someone, and you do it, and one of the two people go, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. Like, how many times does that have to happen before it's not weird anymore?
Yeah.
And it is just one of those synergies that shows up that you start to see, this is how things work. Because once you look in that direction, you can't look away from it. You start to see those things even more.
That's right. God, that's so cool. That's so cool. Thank you so much, Nick. This was such a pleasure. You're
Great to
really
see you
and you're
today.
really funny too, so that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
How I Made It Through is produced and distributed by EIQ Media, LLC. Elevate your emotional IQ with podcasts and content focused on overcoming adversity, leadership, mental health, entrepreneurship, spiritually transformative experiences, and more.